Good morning, everybody. You guys look a lot fresher than I expected. Well done. And good morning, gentlemen. So we're kicking off today. We're going to be talking a little bit about building for a connected future. We are in the era of cross-chain, multi-chain, multi-ecosystem, every layer. We've got a lot going on in our space. So we're going to get your guys' perspectives, how you're involved with all of the things that are going on, how you're feeling about it. We've got some prepared questions that we're going to ask, but one of the best things that we can do to start the day off is to get everybody to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what they're doing and what they're bringing to the table in this space. So go for it.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Wayne Marcel. I'm with FIO Protocol. We're basically building tools to simplify the user experience in wallets, exchanges, anywhere where you're making payments, just hiding those complexities from the user, which we think is important, and just looking for as many partnerships as possible while we're out here at these different events, and definitely Web3Amsterdam.
Awesome.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jerry Afantakis from Zodia Custody. We are a institutional digital asset custody provider wallet owned by a bunch of global banks, which makes us slightly unique, and see our role as facilitating on the one hand, being the trust layer for Web 2 and traditional financial institutions to enter our space, and secondly, of course, to keep everyone's assets safe, and thirdly, three of two, helping those digital asset native firms do whatever they need to do within the Web3 ecosystem from within the protective wrapper of a regulated and bank-owned custodian.
Hi, I'm Hans here with Rujira Network. Rujira is the fusion of Kujira and Rune. Kujira began as a liquidations protocol on Terra back in 2021. And after the implosion of Luna, we spun out as a sovereign layer 1 DeFi ecosystem. And struggled with a lot of the fragmentation issues that we'll talk about in a minute. So Rujira is now a partnership between Kujira and the ThoughtChain network, utilizing ThoughtChain's MPC connections to allow DeFi and basically app layer for Bitcoin Cash, for Ethereum, in one unified environment.
Hello everybody, my name is Eftimie. I'm from Hackerville. So I don't have a project or product. I don't sell anything. I'm just rooting for my city. At some point I'm trying to make events there, Web3 related. So somehow I'm just different for what people seeing on events. I'm just trying to put learning into my city and also get the learning that my city is famous for, trying to put it into these Web3 projects. So basically that's what I'm doing. See you on this.
Yeah, awesome. So a lot of different approaches to how we have to tackle fragmentation, whether it's at the very base tech level, you're combining communities, you're combining chains. There's a lot going on across the panel here. And frankly, even just combining the knowledge and the sort of fragmentation of knowledge in our space is pretty brutal. So lots going on here. I figure we can dive in, and one of the kind of starting topics is probably outlining where we're at. So for you guys, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that are currently preventing seamless integration between all of our blockchain networks? And that might be a human issue, that might be a tech issue, that might be a security issue. Is there a space that you see as the biggest problem and that you are so focused on tackling on? Like what's kind of preventing us from really moving as seamlessly as we want to? And you can jump in. You don't have to go in order. We can.
In my opinion, I think there is the education. We don't have too much education. There is not much universities or people around the world that are putting to, so people can understand what is going on in Web3. I also, because I'm not an English speaker, native English speaker, that's also a barrier for people to understand what is going on. I saw these guys at Jupe and they was speaking about English speakers, because for me it's hard to understand English and also hard to express my English. So I'm sure people like me are everywhere around the world, so this could be a problem somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely echo what he said about education. That is a big piece that's lacking. Like we throw around this jargon all the time if we've been in the industry. but to get new people involved, even if it's people that are in, maybe they're developers or maybe they're doing other things in the Web2 space, and they just don't understand the jargon. We've got to have better education. I definitely agree. I think I'm hoping AI will do a lot to help with translating a lot for us, a lot of content. We've used some AI translation tools in the past, but the other thing is in the fragmentation is the tribalism. My ecosystem, your ecosystem. It's safe to say, to ask somebody what's the best blockchain, that's a loaded question, because what do you want to use it for? Like, what is the use case? And we've taken centralized systems with all these walled gardens like big tech, like Apple, Google, Microsoft, all these, and we've built new tools that are decentralized and open to everyone, but we're fragmented. We're building those same walled gardens on blockchains. And there needs to be more interoperability, kind of what we're doing at the wallet layer, what you guys are doing when it comes to DeFi and others. You have to have some of those seamless use cases. I know a couple of different projects that are building some sort of like universal, almost operating system or transaction layer that will connect to multiple blockchains, because obviously you need a network that's going to help tie it all together. And we just need more tools, builders to focus on that building, and I mean, let's face it, anybody here ever bridged assets before? It's fun, easy, simple. Can your mom do it? No, right?
Terrifying.
And so we've got to build tools that also hide the complexities from the end user. Until we do that, we're only going to be in this echo chamber of crypto and Web3 people using crypto and Web3 tools, and we're not bringing anybody else in.
I think your point about, we built these beautiful decentralized ecosystems, but we are now still dependent on the centralized exchange in order to unify them. There are various kind of technical approaches. We've got IBC and different kind of bridging protocols which allow more trustless bridging, but you still require both counterparties to integrate it, right? You can't just have one side. Which is, just to kind of shill a bit. And thank you for the mention. We, in combination with Thorchain, we provide. You're using your native assets now. You can bridge Bitcoin directly into a Rujira network using Thorchain security. You can bridge Ethereum directly, and you can bridge Sol directly in, and then you can do your DeFi with all of them in the same place. Withdraw back down to the network you want to withdraw down to. So, kind of like acting a bit like Switzerland in this. It's not tribal. It's there to exist as that transaction layer, as that app layer for every connected chain at once, and allow settlement to any layer one that you wish.
I think from our side, I completely agree with everything you've said. We see it slightly higher level. What does everyone in this room, what does everyone in the industry want? They want more liquidity in the market. More liquidity equals higher prices, equals all the little road bumps of interoperability and just friction of utilization of the ecosystem getting smoothed out much faster. So what we're doing and what we're seeing in terms of helping new liquidity enter the market is just like Wayne was saying. Many people are even afraid of the idea of on-ramping from fiat to crypto, moving those assets from wherever on-ramp to an exchange to buy the token that they think they want to buy, let alone like bridging and moving between blockchains. And so what we're seeing, and I think why I'm relatively optimistic now, probably for the first time in my life that like this thing is not going away, is that there's a lot of banks who are starting to provide that service to their retail customers. And so they use Zodia to be the custody layer underneath because no one wants to build it themselves. But what it means is actually that those banks, they're doing it not because they believe in blockchain, because they believe in Bitcoin, they believe in these things. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. The reason why this is happening is because they realize how indecent the margins are that they can charge on every transaction, because there's this fair component to everything that has to do with blockchain, with crypto, with Bitcoin. So what does that mean? That means that they can charge their clients, let's say 1 to 2% spread every transaction of buying, every transaction of selling. That means that's a very, very, very profitable business for these banks. They've got their distribution channels, they have their millions or hundreds of thousands of customers. And then what happens the moment that somebody can monetize a product, they start to talk well about it. You don't find supermarkets saying that you should eat turkey meat when they don't sell turkeys, right? So all of a sudden the banks have a way to monetize the industry that we've all been in, and they're going to talk about it, and it won't be very long before you start to see CIO letters from a whole breadth of banks all over the world, because it's happening right now, saying, hey, by the way, this BTC or whatever it might be should be 50 basis points of any portfolio. And so I think that'll be a wonderful way to bring in more liquidity, and then obviously that liquidity helps everything else.
Yeah, great points across the board. I mean, realistically, with all of the tech that is happening, there is sort of a connective tissue between, and that is outside businesses, that is communities, comes back to that education part, but it's social relationships as well. And for me, in the ecosystem that I work in with Hive, that is my focus, is how do you capture and translate that value that comes alongside all of these financial transactions, and that come alongside people who are looking to use tech for whatever industry that they're trying to revolutionize. So, I mean, I agree. It comes down to a lot, the people that are involved. At this point, the people who are already here, we're here. We get it. We're building it. There is no other way to reach outside except to make it a bit easier. So in that kind of vein, almost everybody's kind of touched on the fact that security becomes a big issue. It is scary. And it's not just scary because there's esoteric knowledge. It's scary because there are finances involved or there's personal information involved. Getting yourself into this space is one thing, but then moving around opens the door for problems, whether that's because you don't have enough knowledge or because maybe you find yourself, running into a bad actor. So, if you are a project manager, developer, or someone in one of your guys' positions, how can you build dApps or products that operate efficiently across blockchains, but without compromising that security, whether it is from an information perspective, a personal perspective? What can you do, or what are you doing to kind of make that safer and easier? Sorry, it's kind of a loaded question.
In my opinion, I think the open source project will have this, what it gets to be secured by the people who are using them, by the community, let's say. So I think those projects will be the golden egg of this blockchain technology. Because if people are involved without a financial, it's open source, you don't have to buy it or you don't have to do anything, you just have to get involved somehow. And that's where the security also comes, because people do it without being incentivized. So in my opinion, that's the best approach to make a dApp, to make it open source somehow, as much as you can.
Yeah, I think the open source bit is quite key. Excuse me. Is key here, right? Because with the best will in the world, you can't show somebody what the result of their transaction is going to be until they actually press the button, right? With these complex ecosystems with dependent contracts that call each other and do all this incredible stuff, that chain of events is unknown until you try it. And really, kind of to talk more kind of generally about it, I guess, like when you're young, you have your own stuff, you look after it yourself. And then you get 16 and the bank says, hey, come and open an account. Oh, we'll take your money, we'll look after it for you, don't worry. And so you become conditioned to just let somebody else look after it for you. And so now we're trying to crack that back again and say, look, this is yours, you have complete ownership of it, complete control of it, but you just have to be a bit more careful. Check something first, do a little small test transaction, don't just YOLO 10 grand across a bridge and hope it's going to work. So it's a mindset thing as much as it is a technical thing, I think, as well.
And I think it's very interesting what you say, Hans. From our perspective, we're back to kind of grassroots, Web2, TradFi, we're the centralized holder of your keys, of your assets. The clients that we have feel comfortable in that paradigm, in that architecture. A lot of the Web3 community doesn't. Not your keys, not your crypto. We're like the antichrist of that, right? We're like a centralized holder of your keys, therefore we are holding your assets. But, what we do try to do is we think of ourselves, and different wallet and custody providers see this differently. From our perspective, our only job should be to hold assets safely, right? But the problem in crypto is people don't want to just hold things and not do anything. So you need to have this universe of services around the secure layer, which is us. And so the way that we solve for that is by essentially creating you can conceptualize it as an app store, where we look at the ecosystem, look at what all of our clients want to do, from foundations to asset managers to whatever it might be, and think, what do they want to do, map it out, and then find the best-in-class service providers that they can use natively from within our platform to achieve those goals. And so we kind of do that, and it's open. It's not like a walled garden where we're being defensive about who's inside. We have to obviously pre-populate it because the services need to be there, but ultimately any service provider can have access, which means that for our clients, it's great that they have a pre-vetted, like technically secure architecture for which to consume services. For me, as like trying to build the business, it's great because I can talk to anybody there who can, I'm like a Web2 centralized wallet antichrist person, but actually we have a lot of customers with a lot of inventory that sit within our ecosystem that may want to consume your services. So actually it's not so disinteresting. And so that's how we kind of thought about combining security with accessibility.
I'll just say, so for me, great point. I mean, 10 years ago, if you'd have talked to me, I'd have been very much anti-custodian, like not your keys, not your crypto. And I still do preach that, but I also realize there's a segment of the world because of like what Hans said, people are conditioned. Some people are not ready for their own self-custody. So providing those trusted intermediaries, where at least those people are getting some exposure. And when people have time in the market, they study the market and they study the tools. And then some of these people that may rely on a custodian at first may eventually feel comfortable to take some ownership of their own assets and move there rather than just right off the bat, no, don't use a custodian here, take this, write the seed phrase down, don't lose it, and then people get lost. So there's that intermediary that needs to be there. And then like what Hans said in terms of getting people to dabble with these tools, I think as tools are being built and in the space, we need to get more people to use them. And we've got to stop. Our test group is not people that are in crypto. You send me something, I've been in the industry 10 years, yes, I can figure it out, and I'll tell you it works great. Ask somebody that has no use case, and if there are stumbling blocks along the way, then we've got to make it easier, because I think trust comes down to ease of use. Yes. If people have frustration and don't understand how to use tech, there's a lack of trust right off the bat. Doesn't matter if it's a good tool or not, and then get people to start using those tools, and as we build, we've got to, so much emphasis is put into testing and auditing code, which is important, right? That's important. You got to check the plumbing before you run, before you, open it all up. And so you need to have that, but you also need to have the same emphasis on what is that user experience going to be like? Can they figure it out? And because that's a big part of where there's lack of trust. If you talk to people today, it's not that they don't trust using tools that are related to crypto and Web3 and blockchain. Most of them, they're just scared to use it. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works. I don't get it. But if you show them how to use a tool and at the same time hide those complexities from them to where there's certain things they don't need to see. Like, why should a user, if they have a wallet address with 20 different blockchain addresses in there, why do they need to see all that? Why not just see one universal name that works for everything? And that's one example. There's other things as well that you can hide those complexities and make it very familiar. And every technology adoption cycle has been accelerated by that key infrastructure. Automobiles became way more prevalent when we had paved roads. The internet became way more widespread when we started to add like windows and other interfaces that hid that ugly green screen that we had to figure out what we were doing. And so it's the same thing with this. Like there's so many different great tools. So outside of just projects working together and not focusing on competing, we've got to bridge that user experience to where they can simply use it, and then that'll bring in the trust. If I can navigate something, that was pretty easy, I'm going to have a little bit more trust in it next time I go to use it.
Yeah, fantastic points across the board. It's not just being scary, it is that it really is actually inaccessible. For every person that wants to jump into this space, are they going to be somebody that has enough familiarity with CLI, or they're not going to do their own pen testing? Yes, you've got open source code, but are they going to be able to do code review? Are they going to build from source themselves? These are things that absolutely keep people out of our space. They're great for developers. They're not great for end users. Honestly, I'm in the same boat in that when we talk about, does there need to be a sliding scale? Do we need helpers along the way? Yes, we do. You'll see changing attitudes in this space around custodial help and how interfaces are built, specifically because we're recognizing that these are the things that we must break down and push out of the way. So we're doing really great on time. I thought I'd sneak one in. We kind of doing a little bit, not doom and gloom, but this topic is often, we're talking about challenges. We're talking about the things that are stopping us. But also when we get talking, I see the glint in your guys' eyes. There's stuff that drives you. What are some of the most exciting use cases right now that are, proving why it's so important for interoperability, in this space? What about something like that? I know for FIO, you guys are doing a lot of what you just touched on, which is hiding a lot of the guts of it and having sort of a central place to start. For you, what is a great use case or a great example of where interoperability is already happening and already kind of pushing forward? And it's probably what you're working on, realistically. I mean, that's why you're here, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't want to jump straight in with a shell, but we are gearing up for kind of the relaunch of Kujira as Rujira over the next few weeks. And so kind of I'm right at the coalface building out these apps and putting the polishing touches on them. And the other day, I accidentally placed a limit order from the wrong layer one, but it just went through, seamless transaction, appeared in the order book, and it was there. I was like, hang on, there's that one. So we've got a bit of a UX there to solve, but it's a good UX because you can use this order book and you connect to the chain. And it's just when things like that happen, you kind of feel this step change in the way that you have this, you interface with multiple layer ones at the same time. I'm clearly obvious. I'm sat here wearing the hoodie. I'm very excited about it.
Well, you got to be passionate about what you're doing, and also, the Thor sort of infrastructure is incredible. We're using it as well for some of our projects. So, jump in.
I'll say for me, you already did a great job of talking about FIO as well, and when you were phrasing the question. But outside of that, for me, what drove me into the space was I realized there was a lack of education, and so I was in a corporate career. Prior to coming here, I was not even related to crypto, but throughout my career, it was a lot of education developing, future leaders of those companies. And so when I saw this, I realized that the education piece, a lot of it is people need to test out the tools. And so anything that puts a real world application into somebody, whether they attend an event and they get a POAP NFT or they buy a ticket and that ticket stub gets sent to their digital wallet, it's those real world use cases where they actually have that deep end projects where someone can set up a small device in their home and run a node, participate in the infrastructure and earn it. That's what's going to teach people, because you don't really know how to do anything until you actually do it. You can read a book on how to fix your automobile, but until you actually do it, you don't really know the guts of it. So that's what excites me, is showing people those real world use cases, and putting it in someone's hands with no experience, and they use it, they do it. And so that's what's exciting for me, different projects like that where you can do that. Helium Mobile. My 16-year-old daughter has her phone through Helium Mobile. Helium is a deep end project, and she mines the token, and she uses that token to pay her cell phone bill. And if I'd have just went to her a year ago and say, hey, I want you to get involved in crypto and set up a wallet, why would I do that? But instead, it's keeping her connected to her friends and to the world. And so that's what we need more of.
Makes sense a lot to me as well. In my opinion, it's hard for me because I don't have a project to understand exactly what people are looking for, but it's different for cultures, because again, I think there's a barrier that people should pass. And also it's different for different ages, and because it's different for everybody. Maybe my best use case is to put value on a table that everybody could share it, could get it, could put their value, and everybody could just understand how things works, and they just take the value out of it. That would be, in my opinion, a good case. But it doesn't work like I would like to go, so it's different for me. But yeah.
So the question was what's exciting about interoperability in Web3, and because I'm the analog guy who's somewhere between Web 2 and Web 3, at least for my job, I see maybe things that others don't see so well. And so what's actually very exciting from my humble vantage point is the interoperability between Web 2 fiat and stablecoin use. That's the most exciting thing that I'm seeing right now. And so you have, the global commodity, cross-border global commodity trade. It's a $28 trillion a year industry. And these are not like financial institutions. They don't need to be regulated. They're just corporates buying and selling. And they're adopting stable coins, it's happening from like the largest players in the world all the way to like, the little supplier who's aggregating cocoa beans in a cocoa bean agricultural country, who are using stable coins as a medium to settle trade, bypassing the entire global financial architecture. That's wild. It's literally wild. And so when you have that, an industry that's so deep, where you can save cost and save time, because that's all they care about, is moving money fast and moving money cheaply to settle their business. That's a whole wave of adoption that no one's even talking about and looking at. And yes, it's not going to be in like the depths of Web3, like my colleagues here, but it's coming. And people have to enter somehow, and then once you've done the mental step and you've done the journey from fiat into a stable coin, some kind of a digital asset, then the next step is much easier. And so for me, like, I look at that and I think in the next 24 months it's going to be a very, very big migration.
Yeah, and that's a whole other panel in itself. But I mean, just as relevant an answer is that there are so many stable coins right now so now you've got all of that fragmentation as well. So these are the biggest players in the world that are coming in, that are starting to trickle in and bring velocity with them, essentially. And now there's interoperability between where are we starting our settlement, where are we ending our settlement. But yeah, it's really exciting to think that sort of the drivers of market forces are recognizing that, okay, this isn't just about empowering an end user to maybe avoid some fees or to settle faster. Like, business and the stuff that drives the real world, the meat sack world, also can do that. And so what does that free up? It frees up more money, it frees up more time, and it starts making business more efficient. It's very exciting. So yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer, even if we are talking about the pieces.
My speciality is to give the wrong answer, by the way.
Yeah, but it is. We get a little scared to talk about Web 2 in these Web 3 events. I mean, it's written on the big banner outside, but where they are is where we need to go to meet them. So, I mean, you guys are kind of leading the charge on that. Yeah.
So, comment about that. Talking about not being afraid to talk about the Web 2 world, just traditional business in general. And with us, we've been around 5 years, and we went through many different iterations of a DAO model, the way we operate. And that sounds amazing to the decentralized world, but it's not all roses. Like I had to tell the team at one point, I was like, okay, we can't just go against everything that centralized companies did and do the opposite because we're a DAO, we're decentralized. Those businesses have success for a reason. And so Web 2 has achieved a level of success for a reason, and we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't need to dismiss everything that they've done as we've got to do the opposite because we want to build a decentralized world. We've got to figure out what elements worked in that industry that made it successful. What are the pain points? And that's where, because it's all, everything in this industry is not just, come to us because we're on blockchain, come to us because we're decentralized. Like, what problems do we solve that you can't do in that world? And that's what we need to focus on, because for me, it was always about not, I want to buy some Bitcoin because I want to buy Bitcoin. What problem does it solve? And that's where I studied the financial systems early on. I was like, holy crap, we're in trouble. And I don't understand this Bitcoin thing yet. And that's with everything. We need to take some of those successes that we've seen in the Web 2 world, in centralized companies, and figure out, okay, what can we learn from that, and then where can we improve with this technology?
I think, this is a thing I think about quite a lot. There's a lot of people I think that see blockchain technology as an opportunity to build new financial products, when actually what we can build is a better financial system which is disintermediated. Exactly like you say, to cutting out those settlement fees. It's not about, hey, we should do things completely differently, because they've been operating perfectly well for quite a long time now. But what we can do is bring them on chain and make them free, trustless, permissionless, and cut out the middlemen and provide access to everybody for these tools.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all around people. We always form the same structures. We always inherently head back to organizing ourselves in certain ways that make us better. That's what we do. We do it in business. We do it in our personal relationships. We do it in geopolitical situations. mostly we handle that okay. But that is what we're here to kind of solve. We are kind of coming up towards the end of the session, so I'm gonna kind of turn it around to the audience. We got a fair bit of people watching here. Maybe we can open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions on this topic? I know first panel in the morning is a little scary when they turn the mic on you guys. What do you think? Anybody? Ooh, maybe not. Maybe we have a little bit of time for you guys to go into a bit more chat about your projects. What do you think?
I'll let you go. I'll let you have this because for me, not having a project, I can't give too much for myself. I could root for my project. I'm into an NGO, but it's nothing related to Web3. So it's Project Ivy. It's an NGO from my Hackerville city, from Vâlcea, from Romania. So basically they are doing this, they are just informing people, giving free courses to people. So yeah, about IT and stuff. And one of the courses, it's called Hackerville. So for me, it's just a buzzword somehow. So basically I can't give you too much to talk about it, but I'm sure you guys can give us something to talk about it because you have loads of things going on. I watching you talking and see what you're doing. Man, you are amazing. Keep up the good work, all of you, because so you have it.
Actually, can I pick up on something you mentioned earlier, which was interesting? It was about the trust created with good UX. And actually, it speaks quite a lot to the custodian side of things. So I think that the way that DeFi particularly has built out has it's been very. I mean, we've talked today a lot about kind of like the horizontal fragmentation, like how do you move between chains? When actually, like the way that DeFi has been built is it's so vertically fragmented as well. You've got all these layer ones to choose from, and then you've got multiple different protocols that do different things on each place. You've got a bridge there, you've got that there, you've got 10 different brands you have to interact with in order to do the most simple thing. And so I think, and a little bit of a shill here as well again, like the opportunity to completely vertically own that stack. Right from the wallet, right from the on-ramp, all the way through all the apps, own that user experience, just brings that trust and makes it a much easier thing for the retail participant to come in. You know, you guys do your thing with the big guys, and for retail to come in and be able to use it without having their hand held through the UX, rather than having to have these long documents and ChatGPT responses telling them which brands to use and how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something sort of personally that I'm very interested in, is data portability from that beginning layer all the way up, and also across layers. And I know that's going back to the horizontal, but I think it's almost that there's this possibility that you are almost ping-ponging your way up, where sometimes you are moving from layer one, you're getting through abstraction, but sometimes you're going to have to jump sideways because the chain that you've chosen is for a specific financial transaction, but you'd also like to pull in some gaming data, and then you'd like to pull in some relationship data. And so for me, that is a really critical part of the next step as we flesh out what this looks like, and how people move around in this space, for sure. Yeah.
I have a question for everybody. So everybody here, most people here are working for a project, building something. Raise your hand if your company or project has like another company or project you see as a main competitor. All right. When's the last time you had a call or sat down with them? And I know that sounds crazy, right? But this is something that I've been challenging people, because there's not enough people in this industry yet, or yes, that we should not be competing. We should be collaborating. And I'll give you an example. I was at ETH Denver 2 weeks ago. Two different, what I would call, there's some overlap in what we do from both of these companies. One of them went to their booth, started talking to me, hey, let's have a call, let's see what we can do together. Kind of looked at me like I had two heads. Why would we want to do that? Like, I'll share my stats with you, what's working for us, you can share what's working with you, and completely threw them off base, and they were not open to it. Another company that is very similar, we got on a call last week, and we'd had that discussion, and I think more of us need to collaborate and figure out what's working, what's not working, because there's more people outside of this industry than there are that in it. And so we've got to work together, figure out what can we do to bridge more people in. I'm not competing with them for their users. I don't want you to, if you have a certain wallet name or wallet Web3 domain, I don't care. Like, I actually have both. Like, I have multiple. So it's figure out how can we work together to reach that outside audience and get them in, because that's where it really is. We're not, if just like exchanges do it all the time, they're competing for clients that are already in the industry versus trying to figure out how to attract new people.
I think that's a really interesting point that brings me to like another like Web 2 thing, which is a swear word in crypto, which is regulation, that everyone hates and is terrified of, and God forbid you say a regulator or regulation and people just chuck you off the stage. But the truth is, like, you want to attract large quantums of capital that sits in institutions that will not move unless there are rules to the game, and that's what regulation is. It's rules to the game. So it's not going to be perfect, it's very cumbersome, it's slow, a lot of friction, a lot of pain, but ultimately when there are defined rules to the game, liquidity comes, and when liquidity comes, prices go up, we all win, and what that also means is that it attracts a lot of other like external guys, you know, the guys who are now like the tech guys who are developing AI, because that's the hot thing, will start to move back to Web3, because all of a sudden, they can see that the movement is in the right direction, and so it all generates like a very positively self-perpetuating ecosystem, which ultimately, and I completely agree with Wayne, about this weirdness of like firms competing with each other. Firstly, I get it. Like, if you're the owner of your firm, maybe you're competing with the owner of the other firm. But if you're just an employee, why are you competing with the other guy? Like, who cares? It's ridiculous. And it's too young of an industry for us to be trying to like fight over scraps. It's ridiculous. Let's like make sure that we like discuss what clients' pain points are, that we solve for pain points, that we figure out like how to make the service better, the user experience better, to make sure that people don't like enter and then leave, and ultimately if we have a good product, the good products will live at the end, and the bad products won't. So you can compete as aggressively as you want. If you've got a bad product, you're just not going to be here.
It's funny that you kind of bring that up, because there's a fragmentation in the way that we even think, and part of that is we are and I use this word very lightly and in jest, we're a little broken from being in this industry. We have seen cycles play, like we have seen some stuff over a very short period of time that feels like it has been forever. We have seen booms and busts and metas come and go. And so it's really interesting. The people that are already in here have felt like we have done decades and decades worth of work. Like, we have blazed the way. And yet, as you say, this is a young industry. There's very little that we have done that is yet ready to kind of move outwards, and that's the new focus. But it's going to take a little bit of a paradigm shift in our own minds in the way that we approach a lot of these topics, for sure. Yeah. Let me see. What do you guys think? So we have about 5 minutes left. If anybody has a question, now's a good time. I love audience participation, but it's like we're waking you guys up here. If we're at the end, we can kind of do a little bit of open chit chat, or if you guys have talks coming up for the rest of the day, you want to invite people to check out what you're doing on the show floor, what you're doing out in Web 2 and Web 3, the real world. Maybe this is a good chance for you to kind of quickly wrap up and let everybody know what's going on. And you can jump in. It does not have to go to
so basically, I'll be leaving in 1 hour. So I have to meet my wife in Paris and my son to go to Disneyland tomorrow. So I'm going outside to Web3. So after I'm finishing this, I'll be outside for a cigarette. Maybe if anybody wants to find out more about me, you can find me there. These guys, I saw him upstairs. This for you, the few. I'll be checking you before leaving. So I'll also be checking everybody else before leaving. So that's kind of pretty much what I've been doing here. Thank you, Web3Amsterdam, for having me here. And yeah,
thanks for the plug. Come see us at our booth upstairs. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, we actually have our model is incentivized, where our company at our core is a nonprofit. We're focused on user adoption. So our partners that use our protocol actually make money. So come see us if you want to learn more about that. But take advantage of this event, guys. I love coming to Web3 events. I travel to them all over the world. It's a chance to get away. You know, we want to reach the masses, but sometimes when we're talking about, you know, Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain around friends and family, it's like talking to a brick wall. So you can come to these events and you can network and talk to people that actually get it too. And so take advantage of that time, exchange contact info. I can tell you my first crypto conference was 2018. I've been in the market for a few years, but when the market started crashing, I was like, is this real? I need to see if I'm pretty sure this is real, but I need to go and meet people. And so I went to a conference in 2018 called Crypto Invest Summit. Got to meet a lot of people that were building an industry, even got to meet people like Tim Draper, big VC, got to meet Steve Wozniak, one of the co-founders of Apple, who was working on something in the crypto industry. And it made me realize that these are people that, you know, most of them are smarter than me, and they're building this when the whole market is just tanking. I mean, if you remember, Bitcoin went from like 19,000 down to below 4,000, and it was brutal, but prices don't matter. People were building. And so these industries, these events are important. And some of those connections that I made from that event had led to many partnerships and deals along the way. So take advantage of this time, connect with people. And actually, this is a perfect, I love the size event too, because you can get a little more intimate with people, whereas 2 weeks ago I was at ETH Denver, and you know, there's 20,000 people there, and it was impossible. There was people that are colleagues that I plan to meet up with there that couldn't, so take advantage of this.
Yeah, we're just upstairs. If you're building DeFi building and want to learn more about how you can build it once and deploy it to currently 9 chains simultaneously, come and talk. Or if you want to become the 10th chain, come and talk.
And yeah, thank you all for listening. I think maybe like the last thought to leave you with is we might be verging on Web 2 scary territory, not so cool, but actually what we have is a very interesting client base, and what we're trying to build is a trust layer and a bridge of bringing those guys into the coolest Web3 projects. And so ultimately, if you have something that adds value, which everyone in this room does, why not become one of our partners? We're just an outsourced distribution agent for great tech, great services that help users. And we're looking for partners just the way that I imagine most new projects are looking for distribution and users. So find me. I'm very easy to find and always very happy to chat. And thank you very much.
Fantastic. There you have it, you guys. Please give these gentlemen a round of applause.